Good evening, honored guests, parents, alumni, rabbeim, and friends. My name is David Schwartz, and together with my wife Rochelle, our co-chairs, Alan and Miriam Goldberg, we'd like to welcome you all to the Yeshiva University High School 2013 Dinner of Tribute. We'd also like to formally welcome our honorees this evening. First, our guests of honor, Louis and Naomi Tuchman. Our faculty honoree from the Samuel Wing Yeshiva University High School for Girls, Linda Smith. Boys, you have some competition. Our honoree from the Morashah Stern Yeshiva University High School for Boys, Dr. Seth Taylor. Thank you to each of our honorees for your commitment to YU and for our community at large. Allow me to express also my thank you to Alan and Miriam Goldberg. A few years ago, you made a bet on me. As a young alum, graduate of MTA and YU, you asked me to join you on the board of MTA and our Yeshiva University High Schools, MTA and Central. Clearly, you had not seen my performance at MTA. But you taught me 3 lessons. First, what it means to give back to the community. Second, what it means to drive change in our fine institutions. And third, what it means to be a role model for our students in our high schools today. I'd also like to recognize the many members of our school board of trustees, namely our president, President Richard Joel, our rabbeim who have joined us, Rabbi Yonah Rees and Rabbi Mark Penner. Last but not least, I would be remiss if I did not thank our dinner committee and our professional staff who have worked so meticulously to make tonight such a special event. Thank you for all your help, for all your work, and without you, this dinner would not have been such a success. Tonight you're going to hear about our outstanding honorees, but before that I want to share a very brief story. When I was in MTA growing up, there was an alumni who I became very close with. He was academically on the top of his class. He even skipped 2 grades before coming to MTA. However, he didn't have the upbringing that many of us in the room had today. He grew up in Brooklyn, not the good side of Brooklyn. There, Jews weren't very liked. On his way home from public school each day, he would get beat up for who he is. Religion was not a part of his home. His father worked 7 days a week, including Shabbos. His parents kept kosher modestly at home, and that was about as far as it went. Role models, very limited. His older siblings, older sister intermarried, and older brother departed from religion and from academics to pursue other interests. As he got older, and he started going to shul on Shabbos, a conservative synagogue, and a Rabbi Gottlieb really touched him at his heart. What he convinced him to do is to go to MTA. At MTA is where he found his core. He became religious, orthodox. He pursued his academic excellence. He became a part of the community there and went on to go to YU, and now is a renowned scholar, a doctor, and a Torah expert. And I'd go back and forth with him and say, what is it at MTA? We've heard all the things about MTA, but what is it about MTA that inspired you? And I came through all the discussions to realize 3 things that are so special about MTA. First, and this is what many of you students are getting there today, the Torah Umada, the functional skills of what it means to be a great student, the knowledge and the expertise to succeed. But the second is an emotional bond, to be connected to Hashem, to be connected to our community through Torah and Tefillah and all the midot that we learn. But third, something other schools could offer that. The third, I see very few, if any, high school that could offer is an aspiration. What it means to become something and something great. To be on a campus where you're surrounded by people like the rabbeim, like the president of our university, like the lay leaders, who could be an aspiration of not just what you can become, but what you will become. This is what touched that MTA student, and this is what many of our children are getting today at MTA and Central. I also believe our honorees, each of them exemplify these attributes. Linda Smith, we've seen what's on the televisions going on. All the praises for what your students, what you've instilled in them, the passion and the interest, and how you've committed to all their needs. Dr. Seth Taylor, I was in MTA. I asked all my classmates, tell me something not so good about Dr. Taylor. Only positive. All had the best things to say, how you inspired them to have a passion to understand history, to appreciate history, and to appreciate what it means to communicate effectively. Last but not least, the Tuchmans. Your devotion to the community, the functional, what you represent of your Torah knowledge and the secular expertise. But more, the emotional link to our community, what you do on the board of YU and the Yeshiva University high schools. And last, the aspiration, the role model you set is what we all appreciate and why we're honoring you today. These are the attributes that brought this MTA student to what he is today, what hit those students that are all in school today, and of our honorees. That student from Brooklyn, that's my father. That is what's so special about MTA, and that's what I hope we all appreciate of what it gives to us today. At this time, I'd like to call Mrs. C.B. Nugrishel, the head of the school, Samuel H. Wing, to bring up for our next honorees. Thank you.
Good evening, all. It gives me great pleasure to be welcoming you here this evening. Tonight, as parents and students, as faculty and friends, as esteemed honorees, and as the most supportive board members and representatives of Yeshiva University, we're gathering to celebrate the fact that from all parts of the New York metropolitan area, we really are united in a singular purpose that plays out every day in different ways and still propels us further with our shared vision. We're each leading the charge towards securing our goals for a future that lives up to the mission of a Torah Umada Lechatchila Weltanschauung, a worldview that is about a vibrant community where our Torah and our learning, our values, our ideas, and our daily practice all matter and make a difference to the lives we live and the world we are willing to build. We are all leading the charge in this effort, and it has been a privilege and a pleasure to be a part of this partnership. At Central, we take the value of shared leadership very seriously. As a student at Central, you can be a leader of tefillah, of teams, athletic, academic, artistic, architectural, and those are just the A's, of your grade, of your homeroom, of your club, of your search for chocolate, of your own custom-made chavuta with a teacher. And incidentally, tonight I want to recognize that last night, the very first and only yeshiva team to join a national organization called ACE, Architecture, Construction, and Engineering, participated in the competition last night in Manhattan. And that was the Central ACE team. A tremendous, I'd like to extend a tremendous heartfelt thank you to our coach, Kelly Smolar, who is a graduate of Central, and who chose to come and give back to our students to discover the possibilities of architecture, construction, and engineering throughout the entire year. A special mazel tov also to our graduating senior, Hudi Rosenberg, who walked away with a scholarship award from the competition. Not bad for a first year. At Central, leadership is a value that prevails not just because of the exciting titles associated with the positions, not just because our students are seeking fame and fortune, and not just because it looks good on a college resume. Instead, it's about caring deeply enough about ideas and issues to truly feel ownership, to voice opinions and design solutions, not because others will follow or agree with you, but because what you're learning, what you're thinking matters to the future that you are committed to creating. That's a focus on leadership that values problem solving, collaboration, follow through, and deeply held values that can be actualized and shared. And most importantly, it's a leadership that means you care about making a difference to enrich your community. We see this in the formal leadership roles, but more importantly, in the informal ways that our faculty dialogue with our students, the ways they push and probe. Why do you think this? And how can I understand your perspective? We see this in the way our administration, our guidance, and our co-curricular staff support student initiatives and ask earnestly, how can we help you make this happen? We see this as a part of our partnership with parents who close the circle at home and entrust us as their partners. I see this personal ownership now, especially in all of the exit interviews with our graduating seniors. To the class of 2013, I salute you, I thank you. You have truly accomplished so much. Most importantly, your passions and your energies are matched with chen, and most often with humility as well. The class of 2013 will no doubt continue to be a source of much pride and nachat to all of our community. Mazal tov to you. In this week's Parsha, there's a striking compilation of events culminating in what is probably the most dramatic expression of disappointment for the greatest of all leaders, Moshe Rabbeinu. Indeed, it really is an emotional low of Moshe's life. After the drama at Sinai, the revelation, the golden calf, the forgiveness, the building of the tabernacle, the book-length codes of holiness and purity, all that the people can think about is food. And I quote, "If only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost, also cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, garlic, but now we have lost our appetite. We see nothing but man." It was enough to make anyone despair, even a Moshe. Here he was, ready to go forward with the nation, all prepared in their camps, ready to take on the penultimate march towards the promised land. And the people are mired in feigned memories of better times in slavery. The grief Moshe expresses is too ripe to dissect here, but a kernel of truth is found in Hashem's response to this exquisite despair as expressed in Moshe. Hashem says, "Esfali shivim ish, gather for me 70 people, Miziknei Yisrael, from the elders of your people of Israel, Asher Yadata, those that you can stand behind, those that you know personally well, Ki heim Ziknei Ha'am, that they will indeed lead the nation, Vishotrav, and they will protect and secure their future. V'lakachta otam, and you shall take them, El Ohel Moed, to the gathering tent, V'hityatzvu sham imach, and there they shall stand with you." Moshe is instructed that the singular form of leadership, where people cry out in need and Moshe alone secures their tonic, is no longer a working model. That mindset was appropriate during the period when Jews were being rescued from slavery and extinction. Now, however, on their journey towards independence, where the promised land is at hand and the growth ahead requires great ownership and personal investment, you, Moshe, cannot lead by example alone. The guidance Moshe receives then is offered to us as well. We are the Shivim Ish. We are invited to the Ohel Moed, because when a people is on the move, when their future and their destiny is changing, when we're marching forward with grand destinations in mind, it is a shared leadership that is called for. Tonight, our dinner of tribute is all about celebrating that shared leadership, here with you, with our honorees, and with all of you tonight. In fact, this gives me a very easy transition. I cannot be more grateful for the contributions of our honorees tonight, and I know that so many of you in this room share them and understand what they've contributed to our communities. It is with a deep level of appreciation that's my privilege, my personal privilege, and I'm lucky to have been given it, to honor Mrs. Linda Smith as the Distinguished Alumni Award from Central. Linda, you have modeled this value of shared leadership and ownership of the success of our students in so many ways. Mrs. Smith, as our Director of Athletics, is actually so much more. Not only has she built the athletic department to now include 9 successful teams, more importantly, she personifies the vital emphasis on personal growth and on an unwavering commitment to the underlying ethics of what we do and what we ought to do. You can find Linda discussing the proper etiquette for cheering on your teammates, or more frequently, repeating, clarifying, or complicating a Dvar Torah she heard at one of our Shabbatonim in Hebrew. With her booming and distinctive voice, there is no one in Central who does not fully know what Mrs. Smith stands for and what she expects for her students, and let me tell you, she gets it. Mrs. Smith, please join me to accept the Distinguished Faculty Award. Almost. It's inscribed with the following thanks. Mrs. Linda Smith, with profound appreciation for your selfless devotion to our students and in recognition of your tireless efforts on their behalf. Yeshiva University High Schools. Thank you.
Speaking after Mrs. Nugoshel is a tough act to follow. She's such a wonderful speaker. This is quite an honor tonight to represent our school, which I'm so proud of. I'd like to congratulate my fellow honorees, Rabbi Seth Taylor, Mr. and Mrs. Tuchman. It's a privilege teaching at Central under the leadership of President Richard Joel, Miriam Goldberg, the president of our high school board, the entire board, tonight's committee, Moshe for coordinating it, and of course within our school building on a daily basis, our head of school, Mrs. Nugoshel, our assistant principals, Beverly Siegel and Rabbi Grauer. Although we will be missing him, I finally got in him to laugh, and that was one of my challenges in the beginning, and he actually tried to pull one on me the other day, which was quite enjoyable. I also have the privilege of working with a very distinctive and caring faculty and staff. I'd really like to give my special thanks to my beloved friend Esty Shua. I'd like to thank Tony and Donald for always being with me all day, times of the day and night. Shani Malitsky, Miriam Bordstein, Leah Moskowitz are always there helping me with athletics and programs for the girls. All of our coaches, Brian and Jose, for making sure the gym is ready to go. And my very special lunch bunch. And of course, the special people that were also, I know I am being recognized and my other honorees, but today's a very special day for our seniors. I'm very lucky in school teaching phys ed that I get to meet all of the students. I know all of them. I know them by name. Some of them are surprised that I actually know their names, but I don't know what it would be like to be in the school and not know everybody by name. So that is quite an honor for me. While my Central family makes it a very special place to work at, my real family at home are truly my greatest joy. I'd like to thank my husband, Kevin, my children, Kevin, Kyle, Kayla, and Kira, and our dear friend, Amanda, for their endless love and support. Kevin, as the girls know him as Mr. Smith, has come to many games. He was even recognized in a school paper recently. Kira, I was lucky to get her involved with me this year with the volleyball team. And when both of my daughters were younger, they attended many of the cultural arts programs, Broadway shows. Even Kyle came to some shows when he was younger with us. Their friends have even wanted to get the phys ed apparel, which they always loved to wear to school. They would ask me, how do I get myself a pair? My friends have asked me many times over the years, what is it like to work at a yeshiva? My answer is, it's great. Who wouldn't want to work where when you walk into work daily, you are greeted by a Central Girls hug? Over the years, I have so many memories, some funny, a few I may prefer to forget, but most I will always treasure, whether it's a hug, a smile, coaching, sitting, or walking, or chatting with the girls. I've had the opportunity to visit Israel, to pray at the hotel. I even played soccer with young schoolboys at a yeshiva in the Old City. Just a few kicks, but we still had fun. They probably thought I was crazy, but just this year, we returned to Florida for the largest female yeshiva basketball tournament in the United States. We placed 5th. We had a lot of fun. I learned the pressure of getting everybody to shul for Shabbos. I know how important it is, and it actually brought me to tears at one point because it was my job. But through the help of Miriam Bursky-Tamam, who had sent me a text that at first upset me, but when the end of it was that she enjoyed the fact that I was yelling at the juniors in the car, and why did I turn off the phone, that she really made me feel better. I was able to call my husband, and we just ended up having a wonderful time even without that. However, I've yet to have a Shabbos nap. Okay? And I don't think I'm going to have one on the senior trip. Okay. I know I personally was chosen as an individual to be honored tonight, but I take great pride in feeling that the value of our athletic and physical education program is being recognized as well. Almost a third of our student body participates in athletics. We raised the bar of expectations and commitment for the athletes in the past couple of years, and the girls have responded and exceeded all of my expectations. Our athletic program continues to get stronger. 7 of 9 teams qualified for playoffs. We have our soccer team, varsity soccer, the 2nd year in a row, going to finals, hopefully on Tuesday. And everybody please do a Sundance for tomorrow so that our softball team can get this game, their first round of playoffs in. I've even put myself back in the lineup for varsity and JV volleyball, in addition to coaching the tennis team. Since my children were completing their college lacrosse careers, and I knew I could give the time back to coaching without missing my children's games, the reason why I had stopped coaching volleyball and soccer in the past, I knew if I coached volleyball, though, I'd do it all out, meaning lots of times, practices, coaches, games, and the dreaded nausea from the bus rides. Less time at home to cook, which is not, as my family will tell you, I probably will never complain about. And I told Mrs. Nicrochelle that I would discuss it after the first year, and I have not regretted it one moment. Team selection is probably the hardest part of coaching and being the athletic director, especially as a mother. But I am proud of every girl that tries out for our teams, plays on our teams, all of our very valuable managers, student fans, and parent fans. We have a great group that come out, and it's just tremendous support for our program. I get at Central as the phys ed teacher to motivate, challenge, lift, teach, sometimes play with the phys ed students. I have been hit in the head, body, arms, legs by every sort of ball there is. Some have caused laughter, some have caused tears, but the girls are always there to make sure that I'm all right. One of the greatest accomplishments, or sense of accomplishment I feel every year, is when the girls participate in the Presidential Fitness Challenge. Every healthy girl in phys ed this year has completed the mile challenge. When a girl that's never run a mile is thrilled by that. When a freshman is thrilled that she can do a push-up. When a senior can finally touch her toes. When a girl comes up to me and tells me, which just happened today, that she can do a wall sit for 2 minutes, and another one tells me that she's been running a mile 5 days a week. These are unsolicited comments. When I receive emails from girls in Israel telling me about working out and thanking me for actually making them do the running, I am so proud. But the best is when they can laugh and smile and be moving at the same time. I know everyone does not share my enthusiasm for working out, but I do my best to get them to catch the fitness bug. Some things that I never thought I would do or wear is sneakers with a skirt, unless it was a golf or tennis skirt. Skirt stories are endless for me. From my husband cleaning out my car and my backup skirt's missing, from my skirt going home on one of the students' gym clothes, from lending mine to another because their skirt went home in another student's gym clothes, as well as being complimented by the girls by the skirt, a skirted skirt. They thought I had to, where did I buy it? Okay, they were what they could wear in the first place. I know that a shadel is a beautiful wig now. Originally, I didn't think anyone wore a wig at our school, until one day one of the teachers' hair was longer than it was the day before. So, in telling that, I had to call my friend and say, yes, there is. They're unbelievable. They're beautiful. I have to say that I was honored when a parent once told me that I had a beautiful shadel. I have tried to learn the ch sound. I even have a Hebrew cheat sheet on my bulletin board the girls made for me. I hope I say these right, or they're close. Rats for one, Mahem, Moher, Ashkav, Kador. For years, I heard Rabbi Tuchman on the phone with people and always saying, Ken, Ken. And I thought the poor person was so upset on the other end of the phone. I didn't know he was just saying yes until... Okay. But back to the question, what's it like teaching at Central? It's like teaching teenage girls, very special teenage girls, with all the fun, emotions, growing pains of the high school years, quirks and ups and downs. They are teenage girls learning to be themselves, but they know their stuff. I have learned so much about Judaism on bus rides, walks with the girls. One of the most impressive things that I always speak about is the girls' knowledge and passion for Judaism. They are always teaching and learning, even when they don't realize it. The inspiring Torahs the girls have given over the years. We have had so many discussions on Halakha and Gemara. My favorite college professor always complimented me on how I always wanted to know the why in anatomy and physiology classes. I would probably drive the rabbis crazy with questions if I were in their classes. However, I have participated in some of their small group discussions with the girls and actually was told that I knew what I was talking about. I have been a liaison to my friends and my children's Jewish and Christian friends, explaining holidays, shiva calls, weddings, dressing, sneasely, and many traditions and laws. They often tell me that I know more than they do, and I get many compliments in school as well. But that is only because the people at school have taught me that, my faculty members have taught me that, and the girls have taught me that. Even this year, with Kira starting to coach me on the bus, she got to experience one of the discussions that we were having with the girls, as one of them was explaining the traditions and why things were done, and another girl was asking why, and as they're teaching each other. Having the girls explain the why and watching them as they explain to each other is one of the greatest contributions I can give as a non-Jew. The best way to learn a subject is to teach, and I love being their student. I applaud these girls, their parents and families, my fellow faculty members and administration for creating an environment that allows these girls to grow and nurture their passion for learning the Torah. Central gives the girls an opportunity to grow and develop and become themselves, exactly what I think the high school experience should be about. I am mostly proud of the opportunity to be part of this experience, and I hope that they take a little piece of knowledge they have learned from me to be healthy, fit, and happy young women. At Central, I also became me. And as Maimonides wrote, the well-being of the soul can be obtained only after that of the body has been secured. Okay, hope I say this right. They tried to coach me today. I besunt. Toda Rabah. Thank you very much. And one thing I do want to mention, that the girls, again, another honor. I don't even know if they realized it, but if people saw the step-by-step yearbook that came out. Nothing could have been a better honor. I know it wasn't made for me, but this yearbook just says what we're about. It's Central. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Taubes, and I'm privileged to serve as the Rosh Yeshiva of the Marsha Stern Talmudical Academy, Yeshiva University High School for Boys, better known as MTA. As we've seen, an evening like this, Yeshiva dinner, school dinner, is an opportunity to honor worthy honorees, Mr. and Mrs. Tuchman, Mrs. Smith from Central, and Dr. Taylor from MTA. It's an evening to celebrate with the honorees and their families and with all of us. And it's also an opportunity to reflect on what our school is about, on what our mission is, and what we try to accomplish. And so B'Rshus Yeshiva University President Richard Joel, Vice Presidents Josh Joseph, various other dignitaries who were mentioned earlier from the Yeshiva University Administration who are here, the Chairman of the High School Board, Mrs. Miriam Goldberg, Dinner Chairman, Mr. David Schwartz, the honorees, their families, students, parents, friends, and of course, distinguished faculty members and Rebbeim. As I said, it's an opportunity to reflect on what it is that we try to accomplish. And there are lots of things that we try to accomplish, and Baruch Hashem at MTA, we are indeed very proud of that which we have accomplished in many areas. In the area of Chesed, we're deeply proud how this past year, for many, many weeks, we had busloads of our students going to various places, such as Seagate and other places in Long Island, that were hit by Hurricane Sandy. And so many of our students across the board, across all 4 grades, all levels of shiurim, went together with their Rebbeim to participate in cleanup efforts. Recently, a canned food drive we held. We held a program for Yachad participants who joined our students for a carnival, a program for members of Beis Ezra who came, reaching out to the community, and again, it's done by students and very often at student initiative. And we're proud of the trips that our students have taken to enhance their learning. Just last week, a group of students went to the top of the George Washington Bridge. Nobody jumped. But this was the culmination of a physics class where they learned about the structure of a bridge and so on. And we're proud of our students who have gone on other trips in New York City to benefit from that which we have in our back door. Our student-organized trip to Washington, the mission to Washington, we had boys who participated together with Yeshiva College students, but high school boys who went on their own as well to lobby on behalf of Israel. And our connection to Israel through programs such as hearing from different Israeli soldiers on and around Yom HaAtzmaut. We heard from Deputy General Counsel of Israel's Ministry of Defense, Danny Newman, again, who came to Yeshiva College. Our boys participated. Knesset member Rabbi Dov Lipman, many other such programs. And of course, we're deeply proud of the Torah opportunities that our students uniquely have in MTA. Opportunities to hear regularly from Gedolei Torah, of Herschel Schechter, of Meir Twersky, of Mordechai Willig, of Aaron Kahn, of David Miller, and others who speak on a fairly regular basis in our Yeshiva High School. And the opportunities our students have to have mentors from the best and the brightest of Yeshiva College and the Smicha program to learn with. And we're deeply proud of the fact that next week, a week from tonight, we'll be celebrating our annual Yeshiva-wide Siyum, the completion of a tractate, and we have, Baruch Hashem, approximately 190 boys who next week will have completed a particular Masechta throughout the course of the year. And I stress this is not only the top shiurim, this is across the board. And our problem now is, and I was discussing it with Vice President Rosengarten this evening, we don't know where to have it because we outgrew the rooms in every facility within Yeshiva. And we're trying to figure out where we can hold this event, a Siyum, say 190 boys finishing Masechta. So these are things of which we're very, very proud. But as I said, we need to reflect as well. And I'd just like to share with you a brief thought which was developed by our great Rebbe, Rav Soloveitchik, whose 20th yahrzeit was just a few weeks ago on Pesach, and his yahrzeit was marked by a beautiful and meaningful program that was held at Yeshiva University, which I had the unique privilege to participate in, and which many of our students participated in as the listeners as well. The thought emerges from the part of the parsha this week, Parshas Ba'aloscha, that Ms. Nugershell alluded to before. The Torah records that there was a rebellion on the part of the Jewish people. They complained, as she stated, that they didn't care for the menu. They were not happy with the choice of food that was available in the desert. Now, this was not the first rebellion, and at first glance it would not even seem to rank as one of the more prominent ones. Not much earlier, the people had worshipped the golden calf, the Egel HaZahav. And yet, Rav Soloveitchik points out, we find a startling change in the response that Moshe Rabbeinu presents. After all, after the Chet HaEgel, after the sin of the golden calf, Moshe Rabbeinu rises to the occasion and he takes the role of the defense attorney par excellence to defend the people and to plead their case before God. And yet here in our parsha, Moshe seems to throw up his hands and he said, I can't take this anymore. What have you done? Why have you placed the burden of this nation upon me? What terrible crime did I commit to be deserving of such a fate? I confess to having had those thoughts myself sometimes sitting in the principal office. But Moshe Rabbeinu at that time had the response of somebody who's giving up. Why the contrast? Which was worse? They worship a golden calf just a short time after hearing the 10 Commandments. And there Moshe defends. There Moshe rises to the occasion. Here he throws up his hands. And Rav Soloveitchik said, and the time doesn't permit to go into the proofs from the text, but Rav Soloveitchik said so profoundly that the sin of the golden calf and others like it were sins basically from lack of education, from lack of understanding. And Moshe said, I can deal with that. I can engage the people on the intellectual level. I can inspire. I can teach. That's his title, Moshe Rabbeinu. But when they're complaining about the food, which our sages tell us is really a metaphor for general physical pleasures, and they didn't care for the laws and so on, giving in to passions and taiva and desires of the lowest kind, that Moshe said, that's not for me. That's emotion. That's something which is not my area. I can teach. I can engage intellectually. I can touch the brain, the mind. But I can't do this. And God's response was, you have to do this. That's your job. You want to be a leader? It's not enough to engage intellectually. It's not enough to educate. It's not enough to teach. You have to be literally like a wet nurse, like a mom, like a dad, clinging to a little baby who's at your chest. And you've got to get into that child's mind. And that's what an effective leader does. That's what it means to be a teacher. I'm going to read his words because I certainly couldn't say it better. This is printed, by the way, in the volume called Reflections of the Rav. And if you've never read this particular article, I know I've shared it with my staff at staff meetings, but if you've never read this, take a few moments to read it. But just briefly, the Rav said as follows: teaching involves more than the transmission of knowledge and understanding. It requires an empathy between teacher and student and a sharing of feelings, thoughts, and motives. There is an interaction of personalities, an exchange of values and insights. And at the end he says, our age is a pagan age, without idol worship as such, but it consists of inhibited indulgence. The teaching role may have been sufficient in the past to counter the allurements of other religions and philosophies and ideologies which still abound. We could teach and demonstrate the greater credibility of our own way of life. But the paganism, and we can add the hedonism of our day, requires the element of the nursing father or the nursing mother, and that be combined with the teaching role, particularly since the emotional introspective element is so pronounced in contemporary human relationships. What we require is the warm embrace as much as the brilliant idea, sympathetic understanding, true befriending, and a human reaching out, a suggestion to our modern students that, quote unquote, we care. The teaching role by itself is inadequate. What beautiful words, and what an important concept, and how important for us as the leaders in our yeshiva high school, both in MTI and in Central, to find rebbeim and to find teachers who embody this. And that's what we look for. And that's the relationship that we want to have with our students. And we are, of course, so proud that so many of our students have found this relationship with their rebbeim, and yes, with general studies teachers as well. And with that, it's my pleasure to say just a few brief words about our faculty awardee this evening, Dr. Seth Taylor. Dr. Taylor is a master teacher. And many years ago, when I served in the administration of the high school before this turn, there was discussions of having Dr. Taylor take over some administrative responsibilities. And I didn't want to let him do it. Not because I didn't think he was qualified, because I didn't want to lose him in the classroom. Dr. Taylor's students from over the last 25 years can attest to his devotion to them, to his clarity of presentation, to his inspiration, to his exciting them, to the sometimes possibly boring details of history, to the outstanding scores which students have achieved on AP exams and other exams in history. But more than that, Dr. Taylor is someone who cares for his students. It's a joke in MTA, he's sick of hearing it because I've overused it myself, that in MTA every student's schedule is tailor-made. Because it's Dr. Taylor who spends, and I can attest to this, hours over the summer in looking into the needs of every single student and figuring out which math class, which history class, which English class, which elective, which science class, and so on is best suited for him. And when perhaps there's a change or the student's dissatisfied, Dr. Taylor's door is open, he's there for them. His office always has students discussing, changing, and he knows every single student. And certainly for the last 25 years, the General Studies program at MTA has been enriched and now is being guided by his presence as the principal for General Studies. And therefore, it's my distinct pleasure to ask my esteemed colleague, Dr. Seth Taylor, to join me here and to accept the award as the MTA Faculty Awardee. The plaque reads, Dr. Seth Taylor, with profound appreciation for your dedication and selfless devotion to our students and our school, and in recognition of your 25 years of service, May 22, 2013, 13 C15773, Yeshiva University High Schools. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been a wonderful experience to be the honoree this year, and I thought a lot about what that means, and I realized that I'm being thanked for 25 years of service, both as a teacher and as an administrator at MTA. But tonight I'm here to say that the appreciation goes both ways, because MTA has given me a career that I could not have imagined to be more rewarding than it has been. I could not have known that 25 years ago when I first walked through the doors of MTA. Indeed, before I did come to MTA, I really knew little about modern Orthodoxy, and I had never even heard of MTA. Though it is true that in spite of my unfamiliarity with this aspect of Jewish life in America, the way I came to MTA is a very Jewish story. There I was in graduate school at NYU 25 years ago, finishing my doctoral dissertation. I guess you could say that I was a spoiled product of America's post-war affluence, because I really wasn't concerned with how long it was taking me to write my dissertation or what I was going to do when I finished and I was done with school. Fortunately, I had a Jewish mother that did. And she began to send my resume out in response to job advertisements without even telling me. One day my phone rang, and the voice on the other end of the line identified himself as an administrator at MTA, and he said he really liked my resume. And I said, I'm sorry, I think you got the wrong number. Because I haven't been sending out my resume. In fact, I don't even think I have a resume. And if I did, I wouldn't send it to the Metropolitan Transit Authority. And the administrator at the other end of the line assured me that MTA does not, in this case, stand for the Metropolitan Transit Authority. And he asked me, are you not the Seth Taylor that lives at such and such address? And I said, oh, I see the problem here. That's not my address at all. That's the address of my mother. But to make a long story short, I went for the interview, and I got the job as a teacher, Apparently nobody cared that it was my mother that sent in the resume. Apparently all the administrators there had Jewish mothers already and understood the problem. But I tell this story in order to illustrate how unfamiliar I was when I first came to MTA with the environment that I was walking into. And that's why shortly after my arrival, when the school administration sought someone to write the history of MTA in honor of its 75th anniversary, I jumped at that opportunity because here was my chance to learn something about the new home that I was now working in. And I must say, this was strategically a brilliant move on my part. And I'll tell you why. You know that dissertation I mentioned a few minutes ago? Well, I can think of about 6 people that read that, and 5 of them were the advisors on my dissertation committee. But hundreds of people have read my history of the high school. And even today, I will still get a letter or an email from some alumnus who happened to chance upon that history of the high school. And he just wanted me to know how much he enjoyed reading it and finding out about the school that he was a part of, which played such a noble role in the history of American Judaism. And while I'm happy about the notoriety that that history has brought me, its real purpose or its real advantage to me lay elsewhere. Having done my research, I now understood my new home, felt closer to it, admired the noble history of an immigrant community that had come to America determined to maintain its identity while taking advantages of the opportunities that America afforded it. And I realized that really wasn't very different than the history of my own family, where my own grandfather and my own grandparents actually came to America as part of that large influx of Jewish immigration from Eastern Europe at the turn of the 20th century. And not only did I now enjoy my new understanding of the very mission of the school I now was working in, I believe that the people who already worked there now recognized my sympathetic treatment of the school, and the distance between us, because of our different backgrounds, began to diminish considerably. And that leads me now to tell you why I am so appreciative of my time at MTA. I have been fortunate enough to have made wonderful friends over the course of my 25 years there, both among the general studies faculty and among the Rebbeim. And I want those friends to know tonight how much I have found their friendship enriching my life. Obviously, I cannot name each one of them, and I am certain that if I tried, my speech would go on much longer than I wanted to. But I want them to know now that whether we are talking about our students, about history, about literature, or maybe even about television shows from the 1960s, which were our favorites, our friendships have enriched my life and made going to work each morning something which I look forward to. But of course, if there is any aspect of my position at MTA which has enriched my life, it is the students themselves. I've had thousands of them over the course of my 25 years. And there's no greater joy for me than when I run into alumni somewhere on the Upper West Side where I live or somewhere else, and this one tells me that he never really understood politics until he was in my 10th grade class. Or another one tells me that he's developed a passion in history just because of me. Or another one just wants to recount some outrageous remark that I made when he was in my 10th grade class, which I insist I really don't remember and would deny if I had to. But I mention these encounters not to toot my own horn, but to make the point that there is no greater satisfaction for a teacher than touching a young person's life and being remembered for it. Indeed, aside from being a doctor where you're actually saving lives, a vocation for which I am probably ill-suited, I think there is nothing more satisfying than being a teacher. To work with young people, to be able to teach them something, to give them a book that you loved and that they're going to read and also share their thoughts, there's nothing better than that. And I just want to say that being a teacher has made my life the most enriching thing, has been the most enriching experience that I could have imagined. And so, again, I'm here to say thank you to the many people that I've encountered over the course of my 25 years at MTA, to the administration of MTA and YU, to my friends among the Rebbeim and the general studies faculty, but mostly to my wife and my 2 children who are here tonight, who have supported me and suffered me on those days that were not quite as rosy as the picture I'm trying to paint now. And even more so with respect to the rich career that I've had, I want to thank my students. Many of them I have had so much fun with you guys, and what is most remarkable is that so many of you from the 25 years that I've been at MTA have come here tonight to celebrate with me. You know, I'm not a guy that's easily moved, but I have to tell you, your presence here tonight has moved me. Or to use an expression that I have often used in class, or to paraphrase an expression I've often used in class, which many of you may remember, you finally made my day. Thank you very much for the honor.
This evening, we have a special and unique privilege to recognize someone who accomplished something which most of us, indeed all of us, should and would find remarkable. For many, many years, there's been a program that started off in Israel known as the Chidon HaTanach, where students in elementary school, junior high actually, and in high school compete. It's a college bowl type of setup, but they study various passages from Tanakh, and then they come for competition and they take exams and so on. And traditionally in Eretz Yisrael on Yom Ha'atzmaut on the 5th of Iyar, a championship round is held to determine the grand winner. Last year, a present 9th grader in MTA, Yishai Eisenberg from Passaic, was an 8th grade student in Yeshiva Beis Hillel in Passaic, and he won the American division, or the American portion of that competition, earning a right to go this year to Eretz Yisrael and compete in the international competition. Yishai did not just win the competition last year, he achieved a perfect score. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this to Yishai, to his parents, but I happen to know the person in the United States who coordinates the program. The exam is actually given in YU, and this person who runs it is a former student of mine, and he told me, I think he just heard that Yishai was planning to come to MTA, and as you know, this kid, Yishai Eisenberg, got a perfect score. The way they mark things nowadays, for those who don't know, it's a multiple choice exam. It's a machine called a Scantron machine. We just put the exam paper, so to speak, through the machine, and it marks off how many got right, how many got wrong, actually. And so the person who was marking the exams, he put Yishai's paper through, and it came out on the other end with no marks. So his was, must not be working, so he puts it through a second time. And again, when it comes through with nothing marked wrong. And this can't be, so he reboots it. That's what we do today, right? Turns the machine off, turns the machine back on, tries it again. Takes out a different exam. Maybe it's just something about this piece of paper. So he goes on to the next person, puts it through, and sure enough, 2 or 3 are marked wrong. And he realized that this guy got them all right. So a perfect score, really just unprecedented. And it gave Yishai the opportunity to go this past Yom Ha'atzmaut to Eretz Yisrael to compete in Eretz Yisrael in the international competition. For the first time in 25 years, an American, a student, an MTA student, Yishai Eisenberg, won the International Chidon HaTanach. It was a tie. He tied with an Israeli student who's a couple years older, and we'd just like for, I think, 2 minutes for you to look at, or a few minutes to look at the footage of the final question, just so you get a flavor of how much these students know and how much it means to achieve a perfect score and how much it means to be the winner of this competition. And then Yishai will be presented with a special citation.
ישי, עזובה בת שלחי הייתה אמו של המלך?
יהושפט.
אליאור, ידידה בת עדיה מבוצקת הייתה אמו של המלך?
יאשיהו.
כן, עכשיו פסוק להשלמה ידידיי. ישי, מלך במשפט יעמיד ארץ?
ואיש תרומות ירסנה?
למה אתה שואל? זה בסדר. אשלם את הפסוק אליאור, באין חזון ייפרע עם
ושומר תורה אשריהו.
אשריך. ישי, מי אמר וערבה לאדוני מנחת יהודה וירושלים כימי עולם וכשנים קדמוניות?
מלאכי.
אליאור, בסדר. מי אמר תיתן אמת ליעקב חסד לאברהם אשר נשבעת לאבותינו מימי קדם?
סוף ספר מיכה.
כן. עכשיו, כיוון שאין הכרעה, אנחנו ממשיכים בעוד 3.
כן, יש החלטה.
ההחלטה היא לאחר שהחלטתי פה אחד. בשיא הרצינות חבר השופטים וגם בהתייעצות עם הנשיאות חושבים שהידע המדהים של שני המתמודדים והתשובות שניתנו כאן מחייבים אותנו לעצור כאן ולהכריז על שניהם כחתני התנ"ך.
כן רבותיי, ראינו, שמענו, נבקש.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Joel. I work for you. First, I just have to say, on behalf of all of us, just one question. Mrs. Smith, it's not a shaitel? Could have fooled me. Dr. Taylor, it's not a shaitel? So look, it's my great privilege to celebrate with you. I'm concluding 10 years of having the pleasure of working with the high schools and seeing a period of enormous growth and achievement with the most wonderful students in the world. And I just have to acknowledge the work of this extraordinary faculty and wonderful Rebbeim. Particular thanks to Ms. Nugershell and Rabbi Taubas for leading with inspiration, for leading with caring. We all in this room understand the quality of the education that we're sharing with our children. And it's a story that is being written and will continue to be written. I also have to thank my really revered colleague, Vice President Josh Joseph of Yeshiva University, for serving as my representative and helping to make sure that the leadership of the high schools and their lay leadership has the full support of the university. And of course, it is wonderful to thank the people who make it all happen, Ms. Smith and Dr. Taylor and wonderful Louis and Naomi Tuchman. And more will be said about you. So we are so proud of who you are and what what we get to Shep Nachas in. But my job tonight is a brief and wonderful one, which is to ask Yishai Eisenberg to join me here on the podium. All right, so Yishai, we're going to do this. We're going to do this as multiple choice questions because none of us believe that you really did this. Ma Hashem, no, never mind. Never mind. So tonight we recognize one student in particular who, as we all know, represented us, all of Klal Yisrael. But as far as I'm concerned, particularly Yeshiva University, I don't believe you won last year. You couldn't have known anything before you came to MTA. But certainly you had an entire school and an entire community rooting for you, admiring your dedication to your study, I think helping you in making space for you to be able to study and prepare, and we're very proud of you. Now, what grade are you in?
I'm in 9th grade.
9th grade. So by 11th, you'll be president of the university, no doubt. What do you have planned for senior year is an interesting thing. Yishai, so we are tremendously proud of what you were able to accomplish, your incredible talent and ability. We're inspired by the fact that this is not a culmination of your life, but a beginning. And what a wonderful foundation to build, lahagdil Torah lahadira. And thank God that the world was able to behold it, but not at the price of your humility. right? Not at the price of your humility, and that's an incredible thing. You were the first non-Israeli in 20 years to take first prize in Chidon HaTanach. Naturally, by the way, the last American, you know this, the last American winner was also a MTA student who is now our Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Jeremy Weider, class of '88. But what your teachers and your friends and your students tell me is that what we have to be proud of is not that you're a young and wonderfully aspiring Talmid Chacham, and not that you have incredible commitment to really the hard work that's necessary to master this, but that it's all overwrapped with your menschlichkeit. And there is nothing, as a parent, as a president, there's nothing that signifies success more than that menschlichkeit. The Torah you will, please God, keep learning and keep living, but you'll be able to do it because of the person that you are. And it's our honor that you share your time with us and allow us to help you grow. And that's very important. Therefore, it's my pleasure to make a presentation to you. It's a Certificate of Achievement. Yeshiva University is proud to recognize our distinguished Talmud. You became distinguished. Yishai Eisenberg of the Marcia Stern Talmudical Academy, Yeshiva University High School for Boys, upon his winning the annual Chidon HaTanach, Israel's annual international Bible competition, Yom HaAtzmaut. 5773. So we want to present this to you, but we also have a gift that you'll have to allow us to be able to inscribe, because it just arrived from Eretz Yisrael. But I'm not sure why we should give it to you, because you obviously know Tanakh Bal Peh. But if you ever need to look for a site, or ever need to prove to your friends that you're right and they're wrong, please God, this is a wonderful leather-bound edition of Tanakh, together with your certificate, which we present to you with our thanks and appreciation. That's all too. You don't have a speech, huh? Oh, we are supposed to come over here so I can share this with you. Come. Talk among yourselves. Take this. And take this, and take this. And finally, we're on a time schedule here. We'll do it later. Thank you very much. Go. Finally, in conclusion, it's clear to me that none of the incredible progress, and the wonderful quality that's reflecting itself in the achievement of your children that we have at Yeshiva University High Schools would be possible, and I know this, and no one's more expert than I am at saying it, it wouldn't have happened and it wouldn't keep happening without the inspired work of the Board of Trustees of Yeshiva University High School, an incredibly active, appropriate, devoted, and dedicated board. But I also have to tell you that wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen without the exemplary and extraordinary leadership of the chair of the boards, who for years has body and soul lent inspiration, leadership, graciousness, generosity, and insight into her work. So it is my great pleasure to present our friend, the chair of the board of Yeshiva University High Schools, Miriam Goldberg.
Good evening. I am Miriam Goldberg, Chair of the Board of Yeshiva University High School for High Schools, and I am the proudest person in the room. And I start with giving my great thanks and admiration to Mrs. Chaya Batjanug-Rochelle, our head of school at Central. I constantly admire your educational expertise and flair, your outreach to the greater community, and your professionalism. I look forward to many continued years. And to our honoree from Central, Athletic Director Linda Smith. Your absolute dedication and love for our students is without bounds. Thank you for the great example you set of good sportsmanship and ethical behavior. Thank you for imparting in the students that conduct on the field is as important as what happens in the classrooms. And to our Rosh Yeshiva and head of school of the Marcia Stern Talmudical Academy, Rabbi Michael Taubes. Thank you for the record year of applications and enrollment. I look forward with excitement and confidence to your continued success in shaping the vision and dreams of our boys in the future. And to our general studies principal and remarkable history teacher and school historian and honoree tonight, Dr. Seth Taylor. Seeing the many alumni you guided, taught, and advised over the decades here is surely a small measure of your achievements. Thank you for your keen devotion to them, to our young men, my sons included, and for making them into critical thinkers. With joy, and awe, actually, I introduce our distinguished guests of honor, Naomi and Louis Tuchman. Naomi and Louis, what you stand for is what is truly great about our institution. People devoted to being Torah true Jews, outstanding community leaders who are brilliantly educated and recognized and respected in their professional lives. Your work on behalf of the high school has helped us in every way. We are the fortunate beneficiaries of your wisdom and generosity. I know that whatever you participate in is going to turn out excellently. If I beg your attention now to learn a little bit more about the Tuchmans from our video.
I grew up in Bayswater, in Rockaway, on the Rockaway Peninsula.
I went to YCQ for elementary school, then Central for high school.
And I spent 3 years in MTA, and then went early admissions to YU.
I started Queens College, and he was in YU.
I was still living in Bayswater.
And that Simchas Torah, I went on a Simchaton in his neighborhood.
I saw her across the room, and that was it.
We dated, and we got married 3.5 years later.
I graduated Central last year in 2012.
I graduated Central in 2005. My parents were very big proponents of YU because of its high education level.
They grew academically, and their religious education was superb. YU produces tremendous leaders for the community.
I think the values that were instilled at home, I was also taught in Central. My parents are great role models in teaching me how to be a professional in the secular world and also be an observant Jew who follows halacha.
You walk into any business office these days, and there are guys with yarmulkes and women dressed in a manner that identifies them as Orthodox people. They're able to function because they got solid groundings in history, in math, in computers, and whatever else they need. They got that in YU and the YU high schools.
My parents are always the type of people who are always getting involved and giving back to whatever schools we're going to.
I had a strong interest in getting involved in the high school board.
He feels that it's an important institution.
In my mind, YU holds a very, very special place in the community. And I feel a great debt of gratitude to Yeshiva for what I have gotten out of it over the years.
I feel very proud to represent YU High Schools, the organization, and I feel also by being honored, it's just another way to continue our involvement.
Our younger son is finishing Cy Sims school this year, and our daughter Leora is going to be starting Stern in the fall. So institutionally, it's hard to say that we've actually left YU. If you believe in the importance of the institution in the community, your belief doesn't depend just on your status as a parent.
The more involved they are, the more they have a role in shaping the next generation.
It's essential for us as alumni to give back to the Yeshiva in whatever capacity we can.
This is a beautiful glass inscription. Naomi and Louis Tuchman, presented with abiding respect and friendship for your continued support and dedication to the community of schools, Yeshiva University High Schools. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I just say thank you.
Please. Love it.
Good evening. I have 5 very important words to start with. I don't have a speech. Is that 5? What I do want to do is I want to say thank you. I want to thank the Yeshiva for the opportunities they've given us. I want to thank President Joel, the administration, the board members. I want to thank the committee members for tonight's work, for the work they did on tonight's event. I want to especially thank our family and our wonderful friends who worked hard, many of whom worked very hard to help make this event successful tonight, and whose attendance here is greatly appreciated. We're not looking for the next one, guys, so you're off the hook. I thank you all for coming out tonight, and I hope you all continue to support Yeshiva and the wonderful stuff that it does, the wonderful work that it does, so that our children can benefit from it the way Naomi and I have, and we believe our children have as well. So thank you all very, very much.
Hi, we have a raffle drawing now. Andrea's going to do it. I just want to introduce Andrea Samet, who's in charge of the raffle and worked very hard to call the prizes.
Okay. For the 4th prize, which are 2 field-level MVP tickets to a 2013 New York Yankees game. Rabbi Mandelbaum. R. Mandelbaum, please come on. Or if you're not here, that's fine. We have you down. For our 3rd prize, which is 2 nights in Manhattan at the Iroquois, a luxurious Midtown boutique hotel, a $200 Ticketmaster.com gift certificate, dinner for 2 at the J, Manhattan's newest, hottest kosher restaurant, $175 value. Karen Raskus, Mazel Tov. Okay. For our 2nd prize, which is a $1,300 gift certificate to the exclusive Michael Strauss Silversmiths. The Raskuses again. Okay. Okay. We're mixing it up. Yes, we promise. They didn't rig the whole thing. For the grand prize, this is. And actually, Andrea is holding it next to me. Some people are able to view it. It's a beautiful diamond eternity band, valued actually closer to $15,000. Okay, we actually have the papers with us. We have here S&S Spivak, the Spivak family. Mazel Tov. And I just want to. We'll conclude the dinner. Dessert will be served in the Crystal Ballroom. I believe there will also be a Marav Minyan. Thank you so much for coming to 2013 Annual Dinner of Tribute for the Yeshiva University High Schools. Thank you.